People like to believe the woods are peaceful, that once the fire is lit and the tents are zipped, nothing can reach you out there. But every year people go camping and experience things they can't explain. Things that don't make sense in daylight and sound even worse when you're miles from the nearest road. The stories you're about to hear get more unexplainable, told by people who say they lived through them. You might think twice before your next trip into the woods. I went camping with 3 friends in late October, just before the weather really turned. It was meant to be one last trip before winter. Nothing extreme, just a quiet weekend in a wooded area a few hours from home. There were 4 of us, me, Ryan, Callum, and Jess. We'd known each other since college and had camped together plenty of times before. The campsite itself wasn't official. No signs, no marked plots. Just a clearing we'd used once before, surrounded by tall pine trees that blocked most of the wind. There was no phone signal, but we were used to that. It was part of the appeal. We arrived just before sunset. While Ryan and Callum pitched the tents, Jess and I gathered firewood. Everything felt normal. Quiet, but in a peaceful way. The kind of quiet you only notice once you're away from roads. By the time it was dark, we had 3 tents set up in a rough semicircle around the fire. Ryan and Callum shared one. Jess had her own. I had mine a little farther back, closer to the tree line. We ate, drank a bit, laughed. Nothing strange happened that night, at least not that we noticed. It was the next morning that things felt off. I woke up early, colder than I expected to be. When I unzipped my tent and stepped out, the fire pit was just a circle of ash, still faintly warm. The forest was completely still. That's when I noticed something new. There was another tent. It was pitched about 20 feet away from ours, closer to the trees. A small dark green dome tent. Cheap looking. Wet with dew. At first I assumed I'd just forgotten it was there, that maybe one of the others had brought a spare or something, but as I looked at it, I felt that slow, sinking feeling you get when your brain catches up to what your eyes already know. None of us had brought a 4th tent. Ryan came out next, then Callum. They noticed it too. Jess didn't laugh when we pointed it out. She just stared at it, arms crossed, like she was trying to remember something and couldn't. We checked inside. It was empty. No sleeping bag, no backpack, no food. Just flattened grass like someone had slept there recently. We walked around the clearing looking for footprints. There were some, but the ground was hard and patchy. Too difficult to tell how old they were. They seemed to lead into the trees, not out toward the trail. None of us said it out loud, but the mood shifted instantly. We packed up faster than we planned to. No breakfast, no jokes. As we were loading the car, I glanced back at the clearing one last time. The 4th tent was gone. Not folded, not knocked over. Gone. We didn't talk much on the drive home, and we never went back there again. I was part of a small winter expedition in northern Norway near the edge of the Finnmark Plateau. There were 6 of us, researchers and guides, studying snowpack and weather patterns in extreme cold. We weren't inexperienced, and everyone there had done cold weather camping before. Temperatures dropped to around minus 30 degrees Celsius at night. Wind could erase your tracks in minutes. We set up camp near a low ridge, anchoring everything down. Visibility was decent that evening, but forecasts warned of a storm overnight. I woke up at around 2 a.m. to the sound of fabric snapping violently. The wind had picked up fast, the kind of wind that feels alive. One of the guides, Eric, was already awake. He crawled into my tent to check if I'd heard anything strange. That's when we heard footsteps. Slow, crunching, heavy. No one should have been walking around outside in that wind without shouting or signaling. You don't wander in whiteout conditions. You die. Eric unzipped the tent slightly and shone his headlamp out. At the edge of the light, maybe 30 feet away, was a person, standing completely still. They were upright, facing us, covered head to toe in white. No reflective gear, no snowmobile, no radio. Eric shouted in Norwegian, no response. The figure took one step closer. The wind erased the sound of their movement almost instantly. Eric zipped the tent shut and radioed the others. No one else had left their tent. No one was missing. We waited, listening. The footsteps circled the camp for nearly an hour, sometimes close, sometimes far, never rushing, never stopping for long. When the storm finally eased near dawn, we checked outside together. There were no tracks. None at all. Not even ours. We broke camp early and left that area the same day. Eric quit winter guiding the following season. He told me later he still dreams about someone standing just outside the edge of visibility, waiting for him to unzip the tent again. I took my dog Milo, camping alone in early spring. He was a medium-sized mutt, part shepherd, part something else. He'd been camping with me before and loved it. We set up near a river, in a forested area I'd visited a dozen times. The trailhead was about a mile away, no one else around, at least as far as I could tell. That first night was quiet, almost too quiet. Around midnight, Milo started growling, low, constant, not barking. Just that deep sound he made when he didn't understand something. I unzipped the tent slightly and whispered his name. He didn't look at me, he was staring straight into the trees. Then he stood up and walked out. "Milo," I hissed, "come back." He stopped at the edge of the clearing. I could just make out his shape in the darkness. Then I heard my own voice. From the trees. Soft. Calm. My blood went cold. Milo's ears flattened. He didn't turn around. He didn't move. The voice repeated it. Same tone, same timing. Exactly like me. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out of the tent, shouting his name for real this time. The voice stopped. Milo ran back to me, tail tucked, shaking so hard I could feel it through his fur. We packed up in silence and hiked out in the dark. Milo refused to look toward the trees the entire time. If any of these stories stayed with you, there are more waiting on the channel. One of them is on screen now. Subscribe if you want more allegedly true horror stories every week. And I'll see you in the next one.